Well, everyone, it's time for us to go and take a look at the iPhone 17 Pro Max and compare it against the iPhone 11 Pro Max and see which particular phone is the better one for you. Now, the thing I can definitely tell you between these two devices is that they're both very, very good iPhones, right? When the iPhone 11 Pro Max first came out, it was a very impressive device. I really did like it. Nowadays, it might be a little bit different for a vast majority of people, but I would still say for the most part, if you're going to go through and pick up a phone, I think these are still very decent options. However, I will also add that the iPhone 17 Pro Max is pretty much the best iPhone you can basically get your hands on. So if you're trying to go through and pick up an iPhone at that particular caliber, and you're trying to get one that's going to be giving you a better type of experience, you're just going to have to remember that a phone like an iPhone 17 Pro Max is just going to be significantly better in almost every single way compared to something like an iPhone, 11 Pro Max. Now, if you want to go through and pick up these particular iPhones or any phones I would recommend buying this year, links will be down in the description below. You can get that from there, and you can help support the channel at the exact same time. Now, starting off with the outside of both these particular iPhones. The iPhone 11 Pro Max originally came out back in 2019. And the thing with this phone is that when it originally came out, it had a 6.5-inch Super Retina XDR OLED display. Now, the thing you have to remember here within this particular device is that as of this point, as you can probably guess it, this panel nowadays isn't holding up that well, but back in the day it was actually pretty decent. It was very large. Compared to panels nowadays, it is giving you basically a little bit of bezel. You're getting the notch up top, which is a little bit of a downside. You're also going to go through and get a 60 Hz panel. It's also not the brightest display. It's going to be a slightly, older type of panel and an older type of design compared to a lot of panels and phones that you're going to be getting. Now, I don't think it's the biggest deal in the world, but if you are trying to go through and get a better panel, do know that there are better panels out there that exist. With something like the iPhone 17 Pro Max, this one is going to be giving you a 6.9-inch, Super Retina XDR OLED display, and that is also that's a LTPO panel. So that is going to be a very, very big difference right there in and of itself as it kind of comes down to it. You're also going to be able to get a ProMotion display, so 120 Hz in and of itself, so that's going to be massive. And it's going to be able to go through and give you an always-on display and a dynamic island, and it's going to be giving you 3000 nits of peak brightness. So that right there as well is another really big difference, because if you're going to go through and pick up a device, that right there is also going to be giving you another big improvement. So like I said before, if I'm looking at these Macs, if I'm looking at these iPhones, I'm definitely going to be getting a much better experience on the iPhone 17 Pro Max than the 11 Pro Max. The 17 Pro Max is also giving you the action button and the camera button, which is nice. It's also going to be able to give you USB Type-C, where the iPhone 11 Pro Max is giving us that a little bit older Lightning port. It's not the biggest deal in the world, but if you are trying to go through and get a better device here, that is going to be a pretty big difference right there when it kind of comes down to it. So when you're kind of looking at the designs, they're both giving you frosted glass backs. They're both giving you triple camera setups, but the iPhone 17 Pro Max is going to definitely feel like it's more of a flagship, more of a premium device than something like an iPhone 11 Pro Max. So definitely, without a doubt, keep that in mind for sure. Now, on top of that, when it kind of comes down to their price tags, the iPhone 17 Pro Max, it does cost, it's pretty expensive. It's like $1,200 right now. The 11 Pro Max is basically going to cost you maybe like $200, probably even cheaper than that, depending on the condition. So that is going to be a significantly cheaper type of phone. So if you're trying to get the cheaper phone here, keep in mind the 11 Pro Max is going to be the one that is going to be slightly cheaper for you than something like a 17 Pro Max. So like I said before, kind of keep that in mind as you're kind of looking at these particular devices. Now, on top of that, when it does kind of come down to their cameras, they're both giving you triple camera setups on the backside. So kind of keep that in mind. The 11 Pro Max is giving you 12 megapixel cameras all throughout. The 17 Pro Max is giving you 48 megapixel cameras all throughout. The 11 Pro Max is able to do 2x zoom with 0.5x zoom on the ultra wide camera, where the iPhone 17 Pro Max is giving you 8x zoom. So 8x zoom, so you're getting like 4 times the amount of zooming in capability on the iPhone 17 Pro Max when compared to something like an iPhone 11 Pro Max. So that right there, again, that's going to be another really big difference as you're kind of going through and looking at these types of devices. With something like an iPhone 17 Pro Max, this type of device I think is going to, dominate the 11 Pro Max in almost every single way. You're also able to go through and still maintain things like center stage capability on the 17 Pro Max. You're able to get dual capture mode. You're going to be able to get way more features, cinematic mode, the camera button, just everything all throughout is probably going to end up being better on something like an iPhone 17 Pro Max than an iPhone 11 Pro Max. So once again, keep that in mind. If I'm about to go through and pick up a device, that's probably the one that would probably give me a little bit of a better experience than something like an iPhone 11 Pro Max. So kind of keep that in mind as it kind of comes down to it. Now, when it comes down to their software longevity, this is also going to be another key takeaway. If you're trying to get the phone that is going to be giving you a longer lasting, support here, the 17 Pro Max, once again, is going to be the one for you. The 11 Pro Max is basically it's still getting software updates, but I'm not too sure how much longer it's going to last. I feel like it's probably going to last another, a little bit of time, but it's not going to last as long as something like a 17 Pro Max. The 17 Pro Max is already basically done getting the 11 Pro Max only is getting one more software update. So I'm not really too sure how much longer it's going to last on top of it, but that's kind of where we're at when it kind of comes down to that side. And so I kind of feel like with an 11 Pro Max, that's the one that makes a lot more sense to me personally, if I'm being completely honest with you. Now, on top of that, if you're looking at these two devices too, I think another really important thing as well is the battery life. Apple states on their website the 11 Pro Max is giving you 20 hours of video playback. The 17 Pro Max is 39 hours. So that right there as well is another big difference, because if you're trying to go through and get the phone that is going to be giving you the better battery life, the 17 Pro Max's battery life is probably going to be twice as good compared to the iPhone 11 Pro Max, which again is another really big difference. I love having something like a 17 Pro Max because that battery life is going to be significantly better. And to kind of wrap this whole thing up, the 17 Pro Max's battery, the performance in this phone, that's going to be giving you an Apple A19 Pro chipset inside with 12 gigabytes of RAM. The 11 Pro Max is going to be giving you the A13 Bionic chip inside of it with 4 gigabytes of RAM. So from a performance perspective, the iPhone 17 Pro Max is going to run circles around the 11 Pro Max, which is important. And that's exactly what we'd want because the iPhone 11 Pro Max is significantly older. That's a 6-year-old iPhone right now. So I'm really happy when a new phone actually gives us way better, capability. And that is exactly what's going on here. So with something like an iPhone 17 Pro Max, this is going to be an amazing phone. It's going to be significantly better. And that's the one I would recommend almost every single person to go and get, because that one's going to be giving us a way better experience than something like an iPhone 11 Pro Max. So to kind of sum it up, what I definitely will tell you is that I look at a device like an iPhone 17 Pro Max, and that is basically the one that I'd recommend a vast majority of people to go ahead and buy. That one makes a lot more sense to go and pick up. It's a beautiful phone, and I love that phone so much. The 11 Pro Max was a great phone when it first came out. I just don't think it's worth buying anymore, to be honest with you. I think if you have it, still use it if you want to, but you also don't have to go and upgrade to a 17 Pro Max. You can also go and upgrade to something like an iPhone, 15 Pro Max or 14 Pro Max, and you can still get a really, really big upgrade coming from the iPhone 11 Pro Max. The 15 and 14 Pro Max are hundreds and hundreds of dollars cheaper than a 17 Pro Max, and you're still getting 80 to 90% of the same features as a 17 Pro Max. So definitely go for the 15 Pro Max, but if you have all the money, go for the 17 Pro Max. But if you want a better deal, you can also buy a 14 Pro Max as well. So from that side, that kind of covers it up there. If you have any other thoughts or questions, please let me know in the comment section below. Hit the like button, that will mean so much, but definitely hit that subscribe button. More importantly than everything else, I love every single one of you guys. Hopefully I'll catch you guys in the next video. Peace out till then.